my name is Nzambi Mate. I'm founder of Jijenge Makers Limited. Jijenge Makers is an alternative affordable building product manufacturing company, and our first product lines are pavers made out of recycled waste plastic. Yes, that's what we do. So, okay, I was born and raised here in Nairobi, in different places in Nairobi. But in terms of growing up, it was pretty much normal and nothing extraordinary. But one thing that always stood out for me was I always felt at peace, and I always felt belonging anywhere where I was, like in a nice environment, like literally an environment like grass, manyasi, like trees. I felt I belonged there. Atikwa ni kwa park, kwanza Uhuru Park. Yes, it makes my day. Okay, so childhood memories. So yes, I am even still today a dancer. So I was dancing even before I was going to school. In fact, that's how I funded my company for 1 year. I was dancing, and then 1 year I would bootstrap. And so I would go for dance competitions like from when I was like about 7 years. So my mom will take me to clubs before the law of not taking minors to clubs. So I'll go to clubs and we'll dance a children dance competition. To some point, I even got money enough to pay my school fees. So I was that good. Correction, I am still that good. So I've always wanted to be in environment space. That's where I know I belong. And I draw a lot of motivation and moral support from Wangari Maathai. Because, hey, that lady, you know, there was a time this video that she was like showing where she had been cut because of this protest. Like there was like police and protesters conflict. And for me, I remember seeing it. So the protest was, if I'm not wrong, against Karura Forest. I think they wanted to erect a commercial building within the forest. And so for me, during that, me watching that video, I was a bit young then, and I looked and I was like, which type of human being is this? Who's willing to lose their own life for something that they believe in? Like, what is that thing, you know? And I never realized, but that planted a seed in me. Subconsciously, I can tell you this was it came to my now conscious this year when I was doing the year's reflection, because I realized for me moving into environment was like a purpose. It was something that I believe I was put on this earth to do. To cut the long story short, I went to JKUAT. I did a Bachelor of Science in Physics, majored in geophysics, minored in material science. I worked in oil and gas for about 1.5 years. And that's when I realized, well, that's not where I'm supposed to be in. And so I decided, let me go to where my passion is. And my passion is building solutions. And where better yet to build solutions than for 1.5 years. And then every single day, so the challenge was not the job, the challenge was not the working environment, the challenge was not the pay. Like, I can tell you, there was nothing wrong with the job. Nothing wrong. Even the working environment, I had some really good colleagues and a nice boss. But what I realized is every single day I'll come to work, I'll ask myself, am I on this earth to do this? And the question will always pan out as no. Like, I'll feel that void. So I decided one day, I think enough is enough. Let me go and fulfill, if nothing else, my void. If it works, well and good. If it doesn't work, I know it didn't work. And then I'll go back to my drawing board. So I quit my job after 1.5 years, wrote a resignation letter, and I told them I want to go and do something. And I remember my boss, and she passed on, but I remember she asked me, Nzambi, where are you going? Do you know where you're going to do? I was like, I have no idea. But what I am sure is I am not supposed to be here. That I am for sure that I'm not supposed to be here. It's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with the environment. It's not my purpose. I was here for a learning lesson, and the class is over. Now let me go back to where I'm supposed to do. And then that was in 2016. 2017, I started now Jijenge. So in the beginning, Jijenge was just, I wanted to do something within environment and just like Wangari Maathai. But her tool of trade was activism. My tool of trade is science and engineering and tech. That's my tool of trade. That's what I'm good at. So I said, okay, fine, let me use my tool of trade. And that's how I found myself here 5 years later, 6 years later. It started with me sitting alone in my mom's backyard, like in that compound. So I was sitting there and I was like, what do I want to do? So I remember I took a walk just in the field, just like, you're jobless, you're searching yourself, you're searching your purpose. And I noticed, like I was always keen to know, like the plastic was just everywhere. So I joined a friend of mine who's in the plastic waste business, and we'd just go with him in the routes. Just join him in the collection and take him to dump site just to see. I was just curious, let me see what happens. So by the process of being in this space, I realized, I started asking my questions like, why is there more plastic collected? Why is there more plastic recycled? Why can something else be done? But then I realized the problem is as complex as the solution. And the system is also very complex. So I decided, fine, I'll not solve the whole of plastic in the whole world's entire plastic waste problem, but I'll try in my community, the little I can, I'll do it. So I started with my friend collecting plastic waste from households, and then I'll put it in a heap. I'll do sorting, collecting, and then I will sell to recyclers. So I did that for 6 months. Then I realized I'm collecting more plastic than I'm selling. I had like heaps, and remember all that time I'm doing at the back of my mom's backyard. So I turned my mom's backyard into like a small factory. And so after that I realized, well, every single month I collect maybe 10 tons or maybe 5 to 10 tons. I only sell like 5. I have like 5 more to go. So I decided, what more can I do with this remaining plastic? So then that's how I started research and development. So within my mom's backyard, I made a very small, clunky production facility and then started just prototyping. And about 9 months later, I made my first brick. So for the 9 months, it was a series of trial and error. So I'll make the first brick, and then I'll go to a facility, like a construction site, and talk to like constructors or fundis or people within just the building space. And one will look at it and say, no, change this. Another one will break it down and be like, oh, add this. Why is this looking like this? Why? So they'll give a lot of feedback. They'll critique the product and give a lot of feedback. And so every like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'll come back with a new sample. I did that for 9 months. Until the 9th month, then I brought it to, like, even one, this contractor was like, it's you again. So I was like, okay, fine. And then he looked at it and was like, I have seen where you began, and I'm seeing this, and you're on to something. I remember the words were, you are on to something. I was like, because this guy has literally seen the journey, even if it's not like continuous, it's like on and off, but he's been able to appreciate the process. So when he said, I'm on to something, I was like, good. I think there's something here. So what I did, I took that brick and I went to the church I go to, because the church compound was very like, it's not made, it was having like a maram. So I went to the church head and I told him, okay, fine, I have a solution. The church compound is it's not very well kept, it's looking not so good. I can make it better for a low cost price. I told him, I have this brick at hand, and if you give me a commitment letter, I can take that commitment letter, this brick, and this, okay, I will not call it a business plan, but back then it was what I believed was a business plan. And I'll go to the bank and ask for a loan so that I can be able to make more bricks, so that I can be able to put in your compound. So I was like, okay, fine, all you need is a commitment letter. Yes. And that was the beginning of it all. One thing I now know, and I think I need to start sharing the knowledge. If you share the knowledge in every stage, you as a professional, me as a professional, then you find people who are trying to come up later, they don't necessarily start from scratch. But now this is the lesson I learned about finding capital. there are different sources of capital. So you have the friends, family, and fools docket. So ideally speaking, these are just friends like you, me, or people who know each other, who can be able to bring in, to give you like a pool of money to test. But this is heavily dependent on your network, because as you both know, your network is your net worth. Unfortunately, at that point in time, my network was not that good. Like the only people I knew was just my friends, and in high school and in uni, and my family. So I didn't know much. So that was not a very viable tool. It helped, but it was not very viable. So then it posed the next question. The next question is getting loans. But then if you're starting a very capital intensive business like this one, and that you need more time, you need what you call patient capital. Hence, I went now to the third form. Instead of friends, family, and fools, instead of loans, I went now to getting investment. Because there are different sources of investment, they have different classes of investment. So how I went about that is I applied for this school in the US. I took my brick. I remember I had my bag. I had my backpack. I had one brick and like another separate bag. I had one like A4, like literally A4 paper. The title was written Jijenge Makers Business Plan. Like it was literally a single A4 paper with like really big bold names. Jijenge Makers Business Plan. So I had one brick, that one paper, and the commitment letter from the church. And then my ticket, and I went to the US. And I was like, you know what, when I come back here, I'll come back with something. The reason for going to the US was to get something called patient capital. Fortunately or unfortunately, in the society we are here in Kenya, people consider the biggest and the most popular forms of investments are either land. In fact, it's mostly land, or transportation like automobiles and cars in any shape, form, or size. No one, or rather not many people, are willing to take a risk and say, you know what, you're onto something, let me give you this amount of money and give you something called patient capital. So I give you X amount of years, you figure it out, and then you give me back money. That is not something that happens in this country. Or rather, it's starting to begin, but it was not there in the beginning because that's not our culture. So because of that, I went to the US because I did research and I realized in the US and in Europe, it's easy to get what you call seed funding. So seed funding is the money you need to prove a concept. Ideally speaking, it's the money you go to test a project. So consider it school fees. You have this lesson you need to learn called a business, and you need to fund the learning process. How do you do that? You get seed funding to debunk that. So when I went to the US, I stayed to US in 1 year. So in 2017, remember the whole of 2017, for 9 months, I made one brick. On the 10th month, I have talked to the church, and the church has said, okay, fine, I'll give you a letter. So on the 11th month, I tried the banks. All banks said no. I was like, fine. On the 12th month, I applied to US. And on January 2018, I went to the US. So in US, I started now doing a lot of fundraising and also doing a lot of business knowledge, like teaching myself how to run a business, how to structure a company, because I come from the science and the tech part of things. I didn't know much of the business. I didn't know much of finance. I was zero. So I took on business courses. I took on financial courses, like proper VC courses, just to understand, okay, fine, what is this world like? So I stayed there for 1 year and also I also redefined the product. They developed the product itself. And then in 2018, I came back in Kenya. And this time I came back with 3 things again. So I came back with a better brick. It was really good. Like those are way better than the one I went to. So I came with a better brick. I came with like about 25 pages plus minus of a spreadsheet. I remember I printed it because remember when I went to the US, I had like one A4 paper. So when I came back, I printed like a 24, 25 like spreadsheet page of a business model. And then I came back now with what you call convertible note. So this is an agreement that yes, we will give you money to start your business. So I came back with the same 3 things, but now in a bigger fashion. It's just ideally speaking, iterating, making more designs, understanding the science behind it, because for you to improve your product, you need to understand both the market value, the market impact, and also the product itself. And so we did a lot of product iterations, not as much as I did here in Kenya, because here in Kenya I was doing like 10 bricks every single day, like 10 bricks. But there I would make like 1 brick every 2 months, because I didn't have the luxury and the room to test to the market, because you see, my market is not there. My market is in Kenya. This is where I want to start the business. So it was not easy to change on the product or get a very good user experience. But on the flip side of things, for me, what was the major focus was to understand there's a lot of tech advancements in that side. So my idea was, how do I get this knowledge, package it in a way that makes sense in Kenya, and then apply it here. So that's when I now came in 2018. So when I came back in 2018, I immediately went to the church. And I was like, hey, so I've come back and this time I can do it. Unfortunately, they had already paved, because 1 year is not small. It's not small time. 1 year is a long time. So they had already made the compound. But they told me, because they were expanding the church. So like, when you expand the church, we'll definitely give you, for the purpose of getting to know each other early. The first thing I knew, I needed to move from my mom's compound. Why? Because my neighbors were having a hard time. Oh, the machines were so clunky and they were so loud. Oh my God, they were so loud, to the point that they were asking, they were telling me, okay, if you don't move your operations, we'll call you NEMA. Like, they'll call NEMA for us. So like, okay, fine, you have to move to like an industrial area zone. So I came now to here in industrial area, and I remember I just started walking from like one go down to another, because I needed somewhere to operate from. And I didn't get the space I want. Or rather, the spaces I got, I couldn't afford. So I called one of my mentors. So there's this makerspace called Gearbox. So what Gearbox is, it's a makerspace where people who build solutions, who tinker solutions, are hubbed there to help grow the solution and to develop it into greater spaces. And so that's where I spend most of the time when I came back. So I would just spend the Gearbox, just testing, just iterating. And I remember I talked to the owner. His name is Dr. Kamau. He used to be a professor in mechanical engineer in Nairobi University, and then started Gearbox. So I told him, hey, I'm looking for this space in industrial area, and I need to do XYZ. He was like, okay, fine. Talk to this guy. He's a caretaker, and he will help you. And that's how I got my first space. It was actually a 450 square foot. So it was very small. It was like from here to like here. It was literally like a 1 bedroom. One thing you need to know is, in 2017 things were thick, all things were tough. Because I was on the grind, I was on the trenches, just building things. And so I lost every partner and every friend and every business person. I told them like, okay, let's try this. Everyone said no. So I was all alone. So when I came back, I was also all alone. The only person who like really believed in me and said, okay, you try, we'll support you, was my mom. She was like, yes, you do it. If it works, well and good. If it doesn't work, well and good. So when I came back and I remember I got to that 400 square foot workshop. I was alone. And I remember I locked the doors and I asked God. I told him, God, you're my creator. And you know what I've been doing here? It's your business. You bring me the people you know will help me build this business and this vision of yours. And then I talked to a friend of mine who was just in this like a hackathon, and he was like, hey, by the way, I have my small brother. He has done industrial engineering, and he's looking for somewhere for attachment. Do you have somewhere you can help him, even if it's just to help you do the basic tasks? Do you need him? I was like, yeah, because I was just alone by then, and then I had only this one machine. And this one machine, I made it in Kariobangi with my friend, with my mentor. And then I got some parts. Some parts I imported, some parts I fabricated myself here in industrial area. So I built that part, and then I brought the machine out to the facility. And then the guy is called Kim. He's now our operations. So Kim came. He was so young by then. And then he came and was like, hey, I've been sent by Eddie. Eddie is the brother. And he's like, do you need someone? And that's how it has been. We moved from one person all the way now we are around 26. When we started, we were only making about maybe 100 bricks in a good day. We were making 100 bricks. So just me, Kim, and another guy came. He's called Hannington. So we're just the three of us. So we're making 100 bricks a day. So we continued developing the tech, and then we moved from 100 to 300. That was in 2019. And then in 2020, we made a really good prototype, and we launched the product in the market. Oh, we were so happy. I think for me, that was one of the best things ever. Launching the product in March. I'll never forget, March the year 2020. And then, end of March year 2020, COVID came. So everything shut down. Here I am. I've started this business. I have very limited capital. I have people I need to pay. And I have not even sold a single brick for a whole year. The whole of 2019, I had not sold a single brick. I had not made a single sale. I was just running on the investment. So when COVID came again, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. So I went again to my creator and I told him, you know this business is yours. So me, if it works, well, good. If it works, it is yours. So then what we did is, because of COVID, most people started moving back home. Working from home became like a norm. There was this new normal that was shifting. So because people were moving a lot at home, people started making renovations at home. Because you see someone used to go to work 8 to 5 from Monday to Friday, and then Saturday they're tired, Sunday there's nothing they can do, so they cannot engage in house renovation projects. But now because they're forced to stay at home and they have all this time, then they are forced to make these renovations. And that's how we started making sales. We started targeting B2C, now business to customer. Individuals who are in their own home and they want to make their own compound. That's how we started. Different sizes, we have different colors, but the range is anything from 850 to 2,000, depending on the color size you want. So in terms of growth, right now we're doing between 1,000 to 1,500. By the end of Q2, which is now, assuming today we move to April, we'll be moving that number to 2,500. Our team has moved from one person to now 26 on full-time basis, and we have, together with the others who work on part-time, is about 113 plus minus. In terms of projects that we have done, we're really excited to say the government of Kenya is also one of our projects. In fact, this project we're doing right now, it's going to a public project under the Ministry of Transportation. The other project that we're also really excited about is the United Nations Environmental Program Complex. So they're building another complex and annex. So we are doing the pavement. So I am really excited for that. So those are projects we have we're really powering this year, and I'm excited. In addition to the ones we've been doing for individuals and those other organizations we have worked with. Moving on, also we have gotten a lot of calls and a lot of interests from different people from all over the world to replicate this solution in their countries, in their hometowns. And so that is also our next step of growth. We want to package this solution, both the tech, both the operation, both the strategy, and just sell it as a solution to different people in different locations, both in Kenya, East Africa, and Africa region, just to start with. So that will be our next step of growth. In addition to making building blocks. By the end of this year, we'll make a building block. We're targeting affordable housing. Every single day, I feel like I'm doing one step towards fulfilling my purpose. So I sleep a happy woman, but at the same time, it has. When I was employed, I used to work 8 hours a day. Now I work about 17 hours a day. That is something I never anticipated. I work twice the number of hours I used to work when I was employed. The concerns and the remarks, when I was employed, I was just with the task I'm given, the departments, I have my key KPIs. But in this context, when you're in entrepreneurship, you have people who depend on you. So you cannot afford to slack. You cannot afford to just relax and chill. You cannot afford not to do your part because you have people depending on you. And those people are doing their fair share and they're killing it. Being a woman in the construction space, hey, that was kind of hard. In the beginning, I had to like do things over and over again just to prove myself. But at least now people have gotten used to it. People have gotten used to you. It kind of becomes a bit easier. It is, I think for me, the hardest thing I've ever done is to deal with human beings, like whether in like a human resource setup, in a job employment setup, in a customer setup, in a client or a supplier setup, because everything you do is it deals with human being. And for me, that was the biggest and it's the hardest and the most exciting lesson I've ever learned. It's a blessing if you ever learn how to interact and to navigate the space of human. Like it's an amazing space. It's hard, but because it's ever changing, because there's no two human beings who look alike, who are the same, you know. That's the other challenge. The other final challenge is for us, the growth is very fast, it's very rapid. Some of it we didn't preempt, so we kind of feel we're like in a pressure cooker. We have to do all these orders, we have to service all these things. So that's a challenge, but it's a good problem because if you have more demand than supply, then pumping your supply is a good challenge.